Well, here we go. And I'm right now taken off guard because we have a media person on a single Segway recording. It's impressive. I'm having a hard time sitting and talking, and this guy is rolling around. What's up?
Oh, he has a little thing on the back.
This is the future.
I have seen.
We are talking about you. I'm going to move this camera around.
Yeah, that's
And this is the Stronger Together podcast, and we just are. This is what happens when you broadcast live at these events. You just never know what's going to happen. So I am thrilled to be here. My name is Matthew Joseph. I've been doing this here for 4 years. This is the first time I've seen someone on a Segway recording it. So well done, sir.
Yes.
Don't get hurt, please, especially on live recording.
The coolest setups I have ever seen.
So for those of you who are watching, sorry you're distracted, but yeah, that's impressive. So we are thrilled to be here. Yeah, you are listening to this live because this is what happens when we record live at an event. People are coming by. I've warned Nick about this. This is what it looks like, and this is why I come back each and every year because it fills my bucket. I meet amazing people, and I see things I've never seen before. And speaking of, I'm going to bring my co-host in right now, Nick. We are seeing things today that we were not expecting to see. You're meeting people. We are just having a great time sharing these amazing voices.
Yeah, I'm expecting to end up in the next Avatar film with this rig setup. This is like insane, but that's nothing compared.
It's impressive. It's impressive for sure.
Meeting old friends again from the Twitterverse and connecting with the old standbys I see every single year, and then meeting brand new people face to face and being like, oh my goodness, I want to learn everything about you and what you do because you've inspired me in this little 10-minute, 15-minute window of conversation. Like that's the bonus of coming to an ISTE and coming to an event like this to connect with those people because it can legitimately change your pedagogical approach after a 15, 20-minute conversation.
Absolutely. And with that, I want to bring in our guest because for me, I've known her a long time. I've been able to see her work. What has always inspired me about educators is the people who do the work, then share the work. And Tracy is someone who always has done the work. And I want to hear about that work because that is going to empower us both in schools, but now in an expanded role as part of the president of the MassCUE board. So Tracy, thank you for signing up. Thanks for taking time and thanks for getting out of your comfort zone and coming on the podcast.
Well, I'm really happy to be here and thanks for having me. And I've always been a person who's done the work and just never, it's not true. Twitter, I used to share a lot on Twitter.
Yeah.
I just have never, I don't know, I'm not really good at publishing my own stuff. Not because I don't want to share it, just because that's just not me. I kind of live a little bit more closeted in my life.
Well, too bad. You were live, you're on speakers, you're online. So for those who don't know you, because you were a little closeted, as you said, in your work, but now you're sharing it and we are all benefiting from it. Share what you do and the work that you are doing in education, both in district and other avenues.
I am just a passionate educator. That's the way I like to describe myself. I started off my actual career in the work world in finance, and it was exhilarating and lucrative, but not.
And you want no part of that.
No. I was like, what should I do? Let's just throw all the money away. It wasn't inspiring, right? I didn't feel like a passion to do the work. And so when I moved to Boston in 2001 with my husband, my new husband at the time, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. And I ended up finding a job in Sudbury, Massachusetts as a skills instructor for the MassCUE program. For those of you who don't know, it's a program that provides transportation from urban setting in the Boston setting and brings them out to schools in the suburban area. And I just, from the minute I stepped foot in the school, I was like, this is where I'm meant to be, and ended up teaching that following fall at the Carroll School in Lincoln, which is a school for students with dyslexia. And it is, I will forever be grateful that is my path. Because I learned how to teach students who are just different in so many ways, but they were amazing. And I knew the first day I taught that was what I was meant to do.
Wow.
So I did that for 22 years in the classroom, and then someone convinced me that I should give a step into more admin and leadership. It was
crazy
the right
person.
choice for a lot of reasons, but I do question that decision because I love the classroom so much. But I just spent a couple years as assistant principal, otherwise known as an FBI director / prison warden, and in a middle school. And now I just spent the last year in district leadership. I'm now curriculum director for Humanities at a school system in in Massachusetts.
Did Matt mention that you're involved with MassCUE?
I am, and that my other world has always been that. Well, my husband works for Microsoft, so we're a very techie family. So I've always had the techie side, but I've always wanted to know how you bridge gaps for kids, right? How do I bring the best learning possibility to students? What could gain access? What can build bridges? What can inspire them? And so technology has always been there to do that. And so from the very beginning, I've always tried to explore how technology can amplify what I do with students and what students are able to do. And found MassCUE early on in my career, which was great because at that time, there weren't a lot of people doing a lot of technology integration work at the level, particularly not in social studies, which is what I taught. Yeah. And so I found a community, right, of people who were willing to explore and jumped into MassCUE pretty early on, and then got involved with ed camps and, you know, that wonderful collegial environment. And I've been on the MassCUE board and now I'm the MassCUE president. And it is the most time-consuming volunteer position I've ever had, but very, very proud to be doing the work.
You're talking about burying the lead, president of MassCUE. As if it's like,
sneak that in at the end. Sneak that in.
That's a throw-in bit of information, but it's, you know, it's a lot of responsibility because you're helping direct, like, the path forward for educators that are committed to using technology to support learning. And I bet you it is a thankless job, and it takes up all the hours.
Well, I think my voice on that board has always been really important. One of my predecessors as president was Raina Friedman, and she and I served on the board together, you know, about a decade ago. And we were the rare classroom teacher voice. Mm-hmm. And now I'm the rare, you know, instructional voice on the board where my job is not tech focused, right? So I use technology every day. I couldn't do what I do without it. But I am not a technology integration specialist or tech director or anything of that nature. I'm an instructional leader on the humanities side. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a really important perspective to have at MassCUE because the bulk of teachers aren't technology teachers or technology directors. They're in the classrooms, they're working with students in a variety of capacities. And I think that's a really important perspective to bring into all the programming and to the experience that educators have when they come to our conference in the fall. So I'm proud to do that work, and it definitely keeps me busy.
Well, you mentioned friend of the podcast, Raina Friedman.
Oh, yes. I gotta throw her in. She's wandering around here somewhere.
She was.
I saw her earlier.
Yes.
And I didn't have my glass on. I didn't see you. And then I think it was Raina, and I put my glass on. I'm like, hey, she was on earlier in the week. And we got people running. Be careful. Don't get hurt. And I think it just goes to show, and I was talking to Tracy before she came on, talking about the event, just when you get a group of educators together who are passionate and bring ideas, what can come from that?
You know, I can't remember a time in my classroom where my idea really generated from something I thought of in a vacuum, mm-hmm. right? It was something I heard or read about or saw presented at a conference that I was at, or a blog post and back my rest in peace Twitter. When it was existing, where people would share something, you'd be like, you know what, I could do that with this group of kids, or that fits that need, or I wonder if I tweak this a little bit and add this on, if this would fit with this group of students. And it's those ideas that got kind of generated by the people you meet and the sessions you go to and experiences like this conference that I think really bring something new and rich to what we do and keep it exciting. Like, who wants to? I never understood any of those teachers who taught out of the box. Right, this is what happens on day 32 of the year. Those teachers scare me, and it's only because how boring is that? Like, I don't know, it just seems boring. Like, I want to try something new and do something different. So these are the conferences that inspire me to do that.
Well, there's a couple of things that are coming to mind for me. One, I clearly need to spend more time in Massachusetts because I can't even begin to count the total number of amazing educators. Matt, you're obviously in Massachusetts.
That's fine. I can be an afterthought. I'm good with that. But we had Kim, Jack, we had Raina, we have Tracy.
Two of my closest friends.
The state of Massachusetts is
doing things.
Let me tell you that on October 14th and 15th of this year, we will be hosting our annual MassCUE conference, which is actually, we host at the Gillette Stadium, which is, for those of you who don't know, where the Patriots play. And this year, Matt's actually one of our featured speakers. Yeah, amazing.
Honored, like shocked and honored.
And we'll be doing some podcasting for us there as well. But it's really a fantastic group. Massachusetts just has great educators, and we're proud to put on this conference and invite people from across the country actually to join us. Matt Miller will also be there.
Donnie Piercy.
Yeah, and Donnie Piercy.
Carl
and,
Hooker's going to be there.
Kip Glazer, and Carl will be there, and Liz Vosi always does a great job, and she'll be doing our work next year for representing us when we host ISTE next year in Boston.
I know. It's like super exciting.
Yeah.
School Academy at MassCUE. We're going to be there. We're going to do some fun things as well.
Fantastic.
The next piece of it is you talked about when you stepped into the school and you had that feeling. Like you just. Like there are very few feelings. We talk about like, what moments could you relive? Like the very first time I found out Darth Vader was Luke's dad. Like
that's when you don't forget.
There are moments where there's a before and after, right? And realizing that this being teaching is your thing is a quintessential before and after moment. And when you support things like MassCUE and your work curriculum level, right? How are you supporting teachers into keeping that spark? Because that's the spark. You think you have the spark until you have that moment. That moment is the spark. How do you do that, like as a curriculum person, to make sure that things are fresh and supportive, or at the MassCUE level, where you're like the whole state now is a spark that you're trying to maintain? How do you approach that?
I try really hard to bring it to the core of what we're trying to do with kids. Right, and so it's not are you teaching this math fact or are you teaching this particular content topic. It's are you inspiring kids to want to do more and to engage more. It's one of the reasons I love being a social studies teacher, because I felt like my job wasn't actually social studies; it was engaging citizenship. Right, it was engaging kids to ask good questions, to think deeply about the world around them, to be empathetic, to care about the world. I thought what an honor it was to be able to do that, and now in this curriculum level of the district, I feel like my job is to inspire the teachers in the same way I used to try to inspire my students. And I would love to say I figured it out, but I'm just wrapping up year one. And I haven't figured it out yet, but it's now my new mission to figure that out. What can I do to unlock that creativity and that inspiration within teachers, particularly in a landscape right now, which is really not very friendly to teachers. And it's a hard job, and it is thankless a lot of the time, but for me, I don't know how everyone does their own things for inspiration, but I love the notes I used to get from kids at the end of the year, or notes from parents, and I've always printed them out and keep them in a little gift bag actually inside my desk drawer. And it is, when I really need that moment of like, why do we do this? I go back to one of those notes, and when I see. I have a rule about not connecting with former students until they graduated from high school, so I know they're 18. And but when I connect with kids, want to connect with me, and they hear about what they're doing, I just was give a little shout out to Nick Usman. I don't know where he is if he's ever going to hear this, but I just saw like he just finished up a job and he's going to work in England. It's a student I had when he was in 7th grade, and he was just an amazing human then, and to see these amazing humans turn into amazing adult humans is really powerful. And to know that you might have had some role in that, I think, is inspirational. So kids need good teachers, and now like teachers need good teachers and need good leaders. So that's what I'm trying to shift to, and trying to figure out how to do that in a way that's productive.
Yeah, and I think the staying connecting piece is something that I don't want to say struggle with, that I want to be forward with to continue to do, because I was principal actually in the district that Tracy works, not in the same building. I was principal for 5 years in the district, and then when I went to district leadership, you forget how much you're disconnected at that point. And my first year or so was a struggle, and you make dumb choices, you do things, and it's like, where are the students? And I miss it. It was that I needed that time to be like, I need to get back into it. I mean, Friday before I flew out, I went to one of our schools in New Bedford where I work, and I was the judge for Taylor's Got Talent, and saw these kids, this little kindergartner girl who did this dance routine. I was just like, I teared up. They made the announcement of the winners, and she was one of the winners. I literally was like holding back emotion. Like, I try to do that. I pride myself in being in schools as much as possible. I still supervise principals as well, which is important to me, but having that balance is so important in the work we do.
And I think one of the hard parts about working with the adults versus working with kids, when you're in a classroom, I think you can see a little bit more of an immediate impact of the work that you do. So you put a great lesson together, you see the joy in kids, you see those eye-opening moments for students. I think at the leader level, it's a little different in terms of seeing the impact that you have, which has been a big adjustment for me. So trying to figure out how to stay motivated myself when I feel like I'm not necessarily having an impact. I know hopefully I will. I don't know that I have yet, but I hope that I will. And I think that's part of the hard work we work with adults is the impact, the timing shift of when you're seeing that impact.
Even as a coach, when I first hear not having my kids, is a shift. Like you're thinking, like now all of them are my kids, but that day-to-day element can make it difficult. And I think Matt's talked about this. It's so important. It's about connections. So as a coach, it's tougher to make those connections with those kids because they're not your kids. You're not seeing them every day. You're not hearing about the volleyball game, the basketball game, their pets and things like that.
Yeah, but when you go into a classroom and you look at the lesson that's going on, it'd be a great teacher, but maybe they just haven't been exposed to something that you know about. And you see this opportunity, like, oh, they just did this. Like, these kids might be unlocked a little bit more. So, I try to remind myself that I do have a connection to kids. It's just a little bit removed. Although I will say, you get, the holidays, you get gifts, or the end of the year, you get school gifts. Yes. Like, this was the first year I've never gotten a gift from a kid. And I was like, oh,
yes.
It is a shift when you go.
It's not, I don't need the gift. I don't need the mug or the candle. But it is just that one step removed of, where's that impact? But that's why doing these kinds of things and coming here and learning more so that I can give back to the group that I'm working with.
And I know you shared a little while ago that sometimes you don't see the impact when you move into the leadership or more district, but I can tell you personally the impact that you've made on MassCUE is immense. I know for someone who was a part of it for a little bit and then wasn't really as connected, but being part of it in the last 2 years in some capacity, you can feel the difference. You can see the difference in the work of the lens that you're bringing is really incredible. So you might not see that impact, but if I had to guess, you had probably one of the largest applicant pool this year. I think you are going to see more national people come. So that impact is being seen.
Well, I would love to take credit for any of that. I think I will just say
I know there's a team of people too, but you're the only one sitting here right now.
Very big team, and they work wonderfully. And, I think it's a difficult time right now in terms of professional development. I don't know if you guys have felt that in your roles, but budgets are incredibly tight. And,
yes.
But a huge shift, a paradigm shift in education right now. Anyone who thinks AI is going to replace teaching doesn't really know what teaching's about. That said, we have a generation of students who are going to be stepping into a world that's very different than the world we currently live in. And it's our obligation, this is my personal opinion, our obligation to educate them. I not only am I an educator by practice and trade, but I'm also a mom, and I'm very proud of that role as being like a little family leader. But I have 3 kids who are, age 16, 19, and 21, and I'm watching through their eyes experience the world, and I watch what's happening to my kids at the college level and what they're doing with AI, with technology, with their own education. And I just think these screen time bans and these AI bans really are not helping to think about what kids need in their future. And so I always go to bans whenever the answer. And how do we educate, how do we inspire kids to be ethical and kind and to use their resources wisely, which is no different of a conversation that we had 20 years ago, to different resources, right? So it's different, and but the same core values should remain the same. And so that's what we have to figure out. We got to figure that out. I've always kind of pushed back. I love that ISTE and ASCD combined, because I've always said that you can't tease either of them apart.
No.
And I've been saying that same thing with MassCUE. We need to think about the pedagogy because it is implicit, and it is not AI or this tool or that tool. It's what should learning look like for kids, and what does education need to fit and need to do. And so that's the voice I'm trying to bring to MassCUE. And that is certainly what we saw in our applicants. I was on the RFP team following Raina's lead because she and Lori Santos run the show there, and I just follow along and support, and but really pushing the voices of different constituencies within education, the wellness constituency, the SEL, the tech director, the English teacher, the kindergarten teacher, the 5th grade teacher, the 12th grade teacher, like, what is it that people need in order to amplify student education? And that's what we kind of need to do.
Well, I've run into multiple people who've told me how excited they are about the changes that have been made at MassCUE over the past couple of years. Like, literally, we were just talking about conferences, and someone goes, "Oh, what MassCUE has been doing the past couple of years is like amazing. Like, I'm so excited to go," or "I'm putting in a submission." And these are like some of these top tier presenters that are like, "I got to get to MassCUE." Like, that's the word that is circling in the EdTech community, and it speaks volumes to the work that you're doing. But the last thing before I pass it over to Matt that got me really thinking that you said, we're preparing kids for a world, right? It's different than what it is now. But really, haven't we always been doing that?
Sure.
Like, it's true. Isn't it like
That's
what good education pedagogy is, right? I'm not teaching you this book. I'm teaching you how to analyze text, because that's the skill that you're going to need when you move forward. Right? AI literacy is something that we say is media literacy.
Sure.
Right? Like, is something what it appears to be actually is. And we're teaching skills and not content. When you can focus on that, you can move and evolve with whatever comes your way.
Right, but think of the challenges that face students now that they didn't face 15 years ago. You were when I did research as a 10th grader, way back in the 20th century. It was go to the library, find the 3 books that are on this topic, and maybe you find something on microfiche. This is it. This is what you looked at. This was regarded as a resource that was verifiable and real. And now students have a whole other layer of, is this real? Is this trusted? And then more importantly, does it offer the perspective that I might not have gotten if I didn't read it? And I think that's a whole new level of research and skill that students need in order to be viable and to be productive in their future. And yet there are people advocating that we go backward in time. And I said, but we can't. We can't. And going backward is what's going to continue to create these silos of understanding, which are very dangerous in our society. So this is total social studies made. I don't care if you're right, left, center, you need to understand all perspectives, and you need to know where to find that information. And so when we start talking about AI bans or book bans, we are really siloing ourselves in a way that I think is detrimental to our future. So that's what I advocate, and
I like it.
It doesn't have anything to do with resources or which tool. It's about just giving kids the skills they need.
All right. Well, you made it. You made it to the end.
There you go.
You stepped out of your comfort zone. You made it. I do have one more question for you, since you're a first-time guest. I started this work to bring people together, and I actually wrote my dissertation when I was in the district we used to work at, and talking about bringing community together, and these events are things that are passionate about for me. And that was what Stronger Together was about, the book that I wrote, to take what we're doing here and make us stronger through that. So when you think of the work, you've talked about team a few different times. What does Stronger Together mean to you?
Yeah, I think right from the very beginning of my educational career, I could never have provided for my students what I did without having other colleagues to support me along the way with ideas. And I just like I hope students remember me as a teacher who impacted them, I remember the teachers that impacted me as a student, and the teachers who impacted me as a teacher right now as a leader. And they've all made me, I think, stronger in whatever role I've had. So, I encourage people to step outside and to meet new people and to just explore other ideas, because that makes us all stronger.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you stepped out of your comfort zone. I'm glad you came in, and we're going to try. I'm already coming.
Okay, we got to get October 14th.
We got to get Nick to go there. And if you haven't had a chance to check that out, make sure to check that out. It's a great event. Look forward to being there. A lot of impact, a lot of learning, and just a lot of fun. So, right. Tracy, thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of the time here. Those watching, we are going strong. We have one more today, and then we have a full 2.5 hours on Tuesday, so continue to check that out.
You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.